Video to show you how you can go about making the best use of Ultimaker Cura, which is the slicing software for whenever you want to 3D print anything. Now this is great because it's just like a one-stop shop, this bit of software to run all of the 3D printers that we have apart from the ones that print from a liquid, so the resin printers there. So the first thing you need to do is download it and install it. And then you need to make yourself an account. And making an account is well worth it because then all of your settings are saved, and then also there's a big extensions marketplace that you can use as well. So it's well worth installing and then setting up an account with Cura. Okay, so when you open Cura, it'll just open up and it'll ask you like what printers do you want to add. You'll have this window coming up here. Now the first and most easy one to add is the Creality, the Enders that we've got. Now those are the little black 3D printers that are the ones that we've got most of. They're like the simplest ones to use. So to add those, the default is it comes up with a network printer. So we just want to go non-networked printer. And then you can scroll down until you find a drop-down menu called Creality 3D. You can open that, and then we just find the one that we have. Now it's this one here, the Creality Ender 3 V2. It's a very mouthy, very long name. So I just changed the name, just call it like Ender 3 V2, something like that. Okay, and you go add, and then that will that will add it to your list of printers that you have. And this is what's so good with Cura is you can save a ton of different printers. And all these defaults here will leave to be exactly the same because these are basically all the settings that we have any need for in the machine. So we can just go next and then we're good to go. Now the standard workflow in Cura is you've got the menu at the top here and we've got generic PLA as the default. So I mean, that's basically what you always work with. Just go with generic and go PLA, and then nozzle size should be 0.4 anyway. And that's just the basic settings. So this is good because you can actually visualize this. This is actually the build area of those printers. And what's quite good is once you've installed other printers, you can see that the environment changes depending on what printer you're using. So yeah, that's actually a really handy feature of Cura. You can see, does your part fit on the build plate? So the first thing to do is to, once you've got your account set up, you can then sign in, and then let's open a part. I'm just going to open up one of the standard ones I've been working on recently here. Okay, so we bring a part in, and just so you know, on my trackpad, I'm just using the right click just to rotate, and you can pinch and zoom. Oh no, sorry, it's two fingers sliding up and down to zoom. And then to pan around like that, you just hold shift on your keyboard to be able to move around. All right, so with 3D printing, one of the things to think about is we have to, well, for a print to be successful, often it needs to have support structure. And support structure is like scaffolding on a building. It's what holds the model up whilst it's being printed. Otherwise, the plastic will just fall down. If the printer head is trying to print in open space, it's got nothing to sit on. So we have to put scaffolding up first to then be able to print successfully. Now, Cura will figure this out all for you. So at its most basic level, Cura has these settings here when you go to the quality settings, and you can just leave it on here. You can go standard quality, is fine. And you can go support. You just check that. And then if we go to adhesion, we can click that as well. And if you're really wanting just a super click and print job, you can just leave it at that. You can see the different qualities we've got here as well. Now, the lower the quality, the faster the print speed. So let's just have a go standard quality there, and we'll go slice. And you'll see that the model will be sliced up. And when it says slice, it means it literally is taking this 3D model and just converting it into a series of very, very thin, well, 0.2 millimeter layers. And that's what the printer will print up from. So that's saying 10 hours, 56 minutes. We can go to the preview tab at the top here, and Cura will actually give us a preview of what that print will look like when it prints. So we can go right down to the first layer. So that's layer one that it prints on the build plate, and then it'll go up and it'll gradually show us what the printer will be doing. So you can see that the support structure is in that turquoise color. So it's got to print the support structure as well, so that when we get to the top, and it starts curving back over on itself, you can see that then the turquoise support structure holds up the top of the print there, right up until the last layer is printed. Now, there's probably a more efficient way of printing this to minimize support structure. So I'm just going to go back to prepare here. And there might be a way that we can do this to really minimize support structure. So if I click on the model, I've got the rotate icon here. Now we could try it this way. Go select face to align to the build plate. So I'm going to click on that button and then I'm just going to click on the bottom there. Okay, and I'm just going to move that so that it's roughly in the middle of the build plate area. And let's slice that again and see what happens. Now it might be, if we're really lucky, that looks good. Yep, that is excellent. You can see we've reduced the time by over half just by changing the orientation. So this way doesn't need any support structure, which is really good. So that's excellent. And yeah, that's great. And that's now good to go. This is just the most basic version you want. So you go save to disk. And when you're saving it, change the file name just to your name. So I'm just going to call this like Mr. B V1. Now the reason for this is, number one, you know which one is yours. Number two, these 3D printers have a bug on where if the file name is too long, it sometimes messes up. So just change it to be like your name and just something that you'll remember. And then you can save that to your desktop. You put it on the SD card, and then you put the SD card into the printer to then print. Okay, well that's it. That's 3D printing on the Enders at its most basic level. If you want to learn a bit more about custom settings and that kind of thing, then go on to the next video.